He stood at the arrival's gate, holding a bouquet of flowers he could barely afford. His hands were rough, calloused, the kind of hands that come from years of double shifts and no sleep. He had been planning this moment for 8 months, saving every dollar he didn't spend on food, working nights at the warehouse and mornings at the garage, all so he could finally surprise the woman he loved, the woman he had sacrificed everything for. But the moment he saw her walk through those sliding glass doors, laughing, glowing, dressed in clothes he had never seen before, draped on the arm of another man, something inside Marcus Collins died quietly. And then she said 4 words that shattered what was left. 4 words he will never forget for the rest of his life. But here's the part that will make your jaw drop. The man she was with? He already knew who Marcus was, and he was smiling. Stay right there, because what unfolds from this moment is one of the most painful and ultimately powerful stories you will ever hear. Real quick, drop in the comments where you're watching from. We've got people tuning in from everywhere, and I want to see your city. And look, you're already here watching. You may as well hit that like button, please, not later. Right now. It literally takes 1 second, and it means everything. People watch full videos on this channel and don't leave a like. All right, let's go back to Marcus. Marcus Collins was 34 years old and had never once in his life taken the easy road. He grew up in a modest neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio, third of 4 kids, father who worked himself into an early grave, mother who stretched every dollar until it screamed. Marcus learned early that love meant sacrifice. That's just what his family did. So when he met Danielle at a mutual friend's cookout 8 years ago, a sharp, ambitious girl with big dreams and an even bigger personality, he didn't hesitate. He fell completely. Danielle was the type of woman who walked into a room and rearranged it. Beautiful, yes. But more than that, she had this energy, this hunger. She talked about studying fashion design in New York, then Milan, then, one day, London. Marcus listened to every dream like it was scripture. They married 3 years later in a small ceremony in her mother's backyard. Marcus wore a rented suit. He cried when he saw her walk down the aisle. But here's the thing nobody tells you about marrying someone with enormous dreams. Sometimes those dreams don't include you. 2 years into the marriage, Danielle came home with a folder, an acceptance letter, a program in London, an 18-month fashion design course at a prestigious school. Tuition? $32,000. Marcus sat at the kitchen table and stared at that number for a long time. He was making $41,000 a year. After rent, groceries, car payments, and utilities, they were barely floating. But Danielle looked at him with those eyes, and he said yes. Of course he said yes. He always said yes for her. What followed were 4 years, not 18 months, 4 years, of Marcus working like a man possessed. Days at the garage, nights at the Amazon warehouse. He stopped buying new clothes. He stopped going out. His friends stopped calling because he was never available. His coworker at the garage, a big quiet man named Derek, used to watch Marcus eat a sad little sandwich at lunch every day and shake his head slowly. "Man," Derek said one afternoon, "your wife better be out there becoming the next Vera Wang." Marcus laughed. But even then, something in his chest felt uneasy. He couldn't name it. He pushed it down. Because Danielle called every week. She sounded busy, focused, grateful. I'm almost done, baby," she'd say. "Just a little longer. I'm doing this for us." He believed her. And then he stopped hearing from her as much. The calls became shorter, the texts more generic. "Busy with finals. Projects due. I miss you." But something in the rhythm changed. Marcus felt it the way you feel a storm before it arrives, a quiet wrongness in the air. So he made a decision. He was going to London. He didn't tell Danielle. He wanted it to be a surprise. He cashed out the last 8 months of savings, money he had been holding back just for this moment, bought a round-trip ticket, and booked a hotel near her campus. He even bought flowers, yellow ones, her favorite. On the flight over, the man in the seat next to him, older, silver-haired, reading glasses, glanced over and said, "Big occasion?" Marcus smiled. "Surprising my wife. Haven't seen her in almost a year," the man smiled back. But there was something in his expression, a small hesitation, like he almost said something and decided against it. Marcus didn't think about it then. He would think about it later. A lot. He landed at Heathrow on a gray Tuesday morning, took a cab to the address he had for her student accommodation, and sat in the lobby with his flowers, heart pounding. He'd planned to call up and surprise her. But when he stepped outside to get some fresh air, there she was, Danielle, walking out of a black car, laughing, head thrown back, wearing a coat that cost more than Marcus made in a month. And next to her, a tall, well-dressed man with manicured hands and easy confidence. The kind of man who had never eaten a sad sandwich in a parking lot in his life. Marcus froze. He watched Danielle laugh at something the man said. Then he watched her lean up and kiss him. Not a friend kiss, not a European greeting, a wife kiss. And then a couple walked by and stopped. The woman hugged Danielle and said, "Oh my God, you and Ryan make the best couple." "How long now?" Danielle beamed, glowing, completely at ease, and she said, "Almost 2 years." 2 years. Marcus was still holding the yellow flowers. He took one step forward, and that's when it got worse. The woman asked Danielle, "And your family back home, are they visiting soon?" Danielle smiled sweetly and said, without blinking, "Oh, I don't really have family. Just a cousin back in the States. He's, struggling. We try to help him when we can. A cousin." She had just called her husband of 5 years. The man currently standing 20 feet away, holding yellow flowers, her struggling cousin. Marcus stood there. He didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't drop the flowers dramatically. He just stood there, very still, the way a man stands when the world has just rearranged itself underneath him and his body hasn't caught up yet. He turned around, he walked back to the cab line, he got in a taxi, and he went to the hotel. Okay, pause, because I know you're feeling something right now. If this story is hitting different, smash that like button. Seriously, like this video. It's the one thing that actually helps this channel grow. And you're already watching, don't watch in silence. Also, are you still with us? Drop your city in the comments. Let's see who's deep in this story right now. Keep watching, because what Marcus does next, nobody expected it. Back at the hotel, Marcus sat on the edge of the bed for 3 hours, just sat there. He called his friend Derek. Didn't say much. Derek listened anyway. That's what Derek did. "So what are you going to do?" Derek finally asked. Marcus said, "I don't know yet." But here's where the story changes completely. The next morning, Marcus went online. He started doing what numb people do when they can't feel anything. They research. He searched Danielle's name, her school, her social media. She had blocked him on Instagram a year ago, said it was to focus. He created a fake account, simple, just to look. And what he found was a life. A full, luxurious, shameless life. Restaurant openings, gallery events, weekend trips to Paris and Barcelona. Danielle in designer clothes, in 5-star hotels, in a world so far removed from Columbus, Ohio that it looked like a different planet. And in almost every photo, Ryan. But it was one photo that hit Marcus hardest. A photo from 14 months ago. Danielle in a white dress at what appeared to be a commitment ceremony. Some kind of intimate event with close friends. Ryan's arm around her, smiling like a king, and the caption "Starting forever with my person," 14 months ago, while Marcus was eating sandwiches in a parking lot and working midnight shifts to pay her tuition. He scrolled further, and that's when he found the comment that made his blood run cold. Someone had commented, "Wait, didn't you say your tuition was covered by Ryan's family?" And Danielle had replied with a simple laughing emoji, the $32,000. The tuition. Marcus put his phone down very slowly. She had never needed the money for school. He called the school directly, posed as a family member confirming payment records. The administrator was brief, Mims. Danielle Collins Hargrove's tuition was paid in full by a private sponsor upon enrollment. There's no outstanding balance on record. Collins Hargrove. She had added Ryan's last name. Marcus hung up, sat quietly. Then he did something that surprised even himself. He didn't call a lawyer. He didn't fly home in a rage. He didn't confront her. He opened his banking app, looked at the balance he had saved for an emergency return ticket and expenses, $11,400. And he started thinking about a conversation he and Derek had once, about a transport company in Columbus that was going under. The owner wanted to sell 2 trucks cheap. Marcus had laughed at the idea back then. He wasn't laughing now. He booked a flight home for the next morning. He left the flowers in the hotel room trash can, and he never contacted Danielle again. Back in Columbus, Marcus moved fast. He was a different man now, quieter but sharper, like something had been burned away, and what was left was pure focus. He used the $11,400 to buy one of those trucks, just one. A beat-up Freightliner that rattled when it hit 60. He drove it himself. Contracts, deliveries, early mornings, the same punishing schedule, but this time, every dollar went into something that was his. Derek quit his garage job to help. 6 months later, they had 3 trucks. A year later, 7. Marcus had a gift for this. He understood routes, logistics, relationships. He was honest in a dishonest industry. Companies started requesting him specifically. And then, 18 months into it, a regional grocery chain offered him a distribution contract worth more money than he had ever seen in his life. He signed it at a conference table in downtown Columbus wearing a suit he actually owned. Derek cried a little, tried to hide it, failed. 3 years later, Collins Transportation had 46 trucks, 12 full-time staff, and a reputation that extended beyond Ohio. Marcus was featured in a small business magazine. Photo shoot in front of his fleet. He looked confident, at peace, like a man who had been tested and discovered he was made of something unbreakable. And Danielle? Ryan Hargrove, son of a state senator, watched his father's political career collapse under a federal corruption investigation. The family's assets were frozen. The lifestyle evaporated almost overnight. Ryan, accustomed to money he had never earned, crumbled quickly. He walked away from Danielle within 6 months of losing his family's wealth. No ceremony. No conversation. Just gone. Danielle came back to Columbus. She reached out to Marcus through a mutual friend just to talk. Marcus read the message. He didn't respond, not out of bitterness, not to be cruel. He simply had nothing left to say to her. That chapter of his life wasn't a wound anymore. It was the foundation his empire was built on. Some people leave your life and take everything, but sometimes, if you're still standing, they leave you with exactly what you needed. On a Thursday morning, Marcus pulled up to his truck yard in a truck he now owned outright. 46 vehicles lined up in rows, his name on the side of every one of them. Derek handed him a coffee and nodded at the fleet. "You think she knows?" he asked. Marcus took a sip. "Probably. You care." Marcus looked at those trucks for a long moment. Not even a little. And that right there, that's what real redemption looks like. Before you go, like this video. I'm serious. You watched the whole thing. You felt every second of it. The like costs you nothing, but it does everything for this channel. People sleep on that button, and I refuse to let you be one of them today. Subscribe too. It's free. $0. And you'll never miss a story like this again. Share this with someone who needs to hear it right now. You know exactly who. And drop in the comments, where are you watching from? And tell me, should Marcus have confronted Danielle at the airport? Or did he handle it perfectly?